Hi everyone, I hope you guys had a really good weekend. I'm here to talk to you today about the Save the Village project. So if you want to pull this up when I'm talking about it, you can, or just refer to it later, but you will find this link under the Science/Social tab, and it is your project that is due this Friday. So if you read the problem is that a village is going to be flooded in just a matter of days, and you have to come up with a way to save the village. That's why it's called Save the Village. So I'm just going to kind of work through this with you so that you can see what I'm talking about here. But the cause at the bottom of that first page, you need to decide upon a cause. So last week I explained this to the kids that were in class, and we actually did a little bit of research. We said, like, what are some causes of floods? So I think one that we normally think of is precipitation. So like a lot of rain or a lot of snow, and then that melts and that can flood, just like that happened here in Brandon years ago. So that's definitely a cause, but there's so many more that we might not know about. So I would encourage you to research what are some causes of floods, and then pick one. And this will actually affect the prevention ideas later. So I will get to that shortly. But decide upon a cause for your flood, fill that in. And then next it says materials you will need. So you are not actually making this project, okay? That has been a couple of questions that students have asked me. Are we actually going to be creating this prototype? And the answer is no, you are just designing it. So it's critical thinking. I want to see step-by-step, lots of detail, research, but not actually building it. If you want, just for fun, like, I'm not going to stop you. That could be a really great little task for you and your family, but I'm just looking for the words. So materials, like, what will you need? If you are building, I don't know, like if you're using sandbags, you obviously need a whole bunch of sand. You need the bags, you need, like, list it, right? You don't actually have to go out and buy the sand. Then it says step-by-step plan, create a detailed plan including appropriate vocabulary in each step. Underline the vocabulary terms that we have learned from the unit and from Quizlet. So if you need a refresher, you can go to Quizlet.com, find my name, and also, like, you should have some notes on this, I believe. Maybe you handed them in, that's okay, but you can just, like, Google it again, or like Quizlet has them all. So step-by-step plan, that's where if you were to hand this in to me or to anybody, they should be able to read your plan and recreate it. So they shouldn't have to ask you any questions. It should be extremely detailed, like step 1, go buy the sand. Step 2, do this. Step 3, so on and so forth, okay? All the way down to actually executing the plan and making sure that you've saved the village. So that's that. Again, when you're talking about certain vocabulary, just highlight it, underline it, make it stand out so that I can see that you have used those terms. Okay, moving on to the next page. This is where it says labeled drawing 1 and labeled drawing 2. So again, I got a couple of questions about that. There's 2 boxes because I'm expecting 2 perspectives. So it might be like a bird's eye view from the top and then like a front view. It might be like a side view, and I don't even know, but just like 2 perspectives of what you're making, maybe like in the process, like where you want to put these things. Are they next to houses? Are they, right? Like, just show me your thinking via images. So make sure you label it again. If you're doing the sandbag, I'll just stick with that example. Make sure you label sandbag, make sure you label river, make sure you label houses, people. If you're talking about, what else could you be talking about? If you're talking about anything, just make sure you label it for me so I know what you're referring to. If there's rain, if there's precipitation, make sure you label that. Okay? So that's why there's 2 drawings, 2 different perspectives. you know, put some effort into that, because I'm not actually asking you to make it. So I need to be able to see, again, what you're doing. So if you're handing this in to me or to anybody, we should be able to know exactly where those sandbags go, how many are piled up, yeah, stuff like that. Okay, sources at the bottom of that page. Where did you get your information from? If you needed any, I said in there. You probably will need some, because you want to make sure that your idea is actually going to be successful. So you could research like floods in the past, what they've done, right? Like that's kind of what causes the flood. How can you prevent it? And then go for the 4. So this is the biggie. This is where the majority of your critical thinking comes in. So it says, explain how you will prevent the river from flooding in future years. This should match the cause for the flood. So if you said the cause was a dam upstream broke or over flooded, how are you going to prevent that from happening again, right? If it was a large amount of snow that suddenly melted, so temperature, how are you going to prevent that? You can't control the temperature, so what are you going to do? Because you don't want this to happen every single year to this village, right? So you are putting together a quick fix. It's coming in 3 days. You want to save this village right now, but then part of your job is to also prevent it from happening again in the future. So this is where you need to really make sure that you've done your thinking. Again, do some research, like what are some long-term fixes for problems, right? River flooding. And again, it has to match your cause. So yeah, make sure you've done your appropriate research so they match. I believe those were some of the major questions that I had. So if you have further questions, make sure you ask me. This is due Friday. Take pictures and email me. Have a great day, everyone.